So here it is, the much anticipated 2019 Suzuki Jimny. We've had this one just for a few days now. So far pretty happy with it. Seems to be doing everything you would expect. So this is the fourth generation of the Jimny. Vast improvement, I think, over the previous one, the third generation. You can see behind us, here's the second. It's the second generation Jimny, known in North America as the Samurai. This was a much beloved vehicle. Nice little off-road car. Not a bad looking vehicle in its own right. I don't think quite as nice as the 2019, but definitely much better than the third generation. So I've had the Suzuki Jimny for a few days now. It's got still only 177 kilometers on it, so virtually brand new. And the question is, what does it drive like? Well, it doesn't drive like a car. My other vehicle is a Subaru Crosstrek, and getting into the Jimny from the Crosstrek, you definitely feel the difference. Power is going to be the main thing, I guess. The Crosstrek has a CVT transmission, which sucks power. It's a little gutless itself, but the Jimny definitely has a lot less power than that. They've upgraded the engine from the previous version. The third generation had a 1300cc engine. I've driven that vehicle as well, and it's definitely doesn't have a lot of power. This 1500 feels a little bit stronger, but you still notice it going up hills. I live in a small island. We definitely don't have any freeways. I don't anticipate getting this vehicle over 80 kilometers an hour. Most of the time I'll probably be driving 60, 65. So top end speed, acceleration, none of that is very important to me. But we do have a lot of hills, and so far the Jimny, it makes it up the hills no problem. You're definitely not going quickly up some of them. But again, this isn't a high performance machine. You're not going to be racing, you're not going to be breaking any speed records on it. But what it does do, it does very well so far that I've seen. And it does drive surprisingly nicely, actually. The steering is reasonably tight. I mean, even the best of our roads here are virtually off-road. So I'm not going to be doing any freeway driving. So I'm not really going to be able to test out how it handles in that respect. But the vehicle feels fine to me. It handles well enough. Corners reasonably well. There's a little bit of body sway, I guess, but I guess that comes with the 8 inches of ground clearance. All in all, so far, pretty happy with it. Haven't done any off-road yet, although we're going to be doing a little bit of that today up in the jungle. Yeah, so overall impressions so far are pretty good. This is the base model, so I don't have the touch screen, but the base model still does come with the downhill assist. I've tried that out. It works surprisingly well. I don't anticipate myself ever using it in a real world application other than just playing with it. Don't really see the advantage of it for me personally. Apparently it comes with a lane departure warning. I'll never be able to use that because we don't really have lanes here, nothing so to speak. So I'm not going to be using that. It also has something or other that the vehicle can read street signs and know the speed limit. Again, here we don't have any speed limit signs. I think we have a speed limit in theory, but in practice it's never enforced. So again, that's not going to be an issue for me with this vehicle. What other features does it have? This base model has Bluetooth. It's got you can answer calls from the steering wheel here. You can change tracks on your device on the wheel here. Change the volume. Power windows, AC, obviously. And speaking of the windows, I find that it's got an amazing field of view. These side windows are absolutely huge, and compared to my Subaru, I find that there's far less blind spots in this vehicle, and then I can see really well. The front windshield is large, not terrible, doesn't go down so low, but I find that it's got an excellent field of view. And then the finishing inside, everything's a little bit plasticky, but you know, for what you pay, you get what you would expect, I guess. But it looks good, and that's the main thing about this vehicle for me, is its off-road capability, the ruggedness of it, because like I say, our roads here are terrible, and its looks. I just when I first saw this vehicle, I thought it looked so good, and certainly light years ahead of the previous version, which was really quite ugly. I've never had a vehicle with so many people stopping me, asking me what it is, where'd you get it. Everybody loves the styling, the outside styling of this vehicle. Yeah, I've never seen it turn so many heads for such a plain, kind of non-sexy car. Everyone really seems to like the styling of it. And people are always asking me, where can they get one? Well, unfortunately on this island you can't for a little while. This was the only one the dealership was able to bring in, and they're not going to be able to get any more for a while. I guess in England and other places these have already had deposits put on them and they're back ordered. So it's going to be a very popular vehicle. In terms of downsides, the main thing, the obvious thing, is going to be the trunk space. There really isn't any. You open the back door and you're met with the backs of 2 seats. You can store virtually nothing. No bags. Of course, the seats fold down and then you've got a large storage space, but in that case you're not going to be carrying any rear passengers. And the rear passenger space is quite small. Fine for 2 small adults, but not for anybody my size. Having said that, I'm 6'2", and I have loads of room in the front of this car. I've got probably 3 or 4 inches above my head in the front seat here. The front seat is not adjustable up and down, but I would never need to. There is a ton of space up here, more so than in my Subaru. I'm not going to go over any bumps that I'm going to worry about hitting my head on the roof in this car. And the other driving position, I mean, the seat is very comfortable, definitely equally as comfortable as my Subaru. The only thing up here that I would fault it is when I get the steering wheel into a comfortable position, it does cover my my gauges a little bit. The speedometer, tach, I can't really see all that well. The steering wheel's covering it. Again, not too concerned about speeding here. Like I say, no enforced speed limits, and I drive pretty conservatively anyway because it can be a pretty crazy place to drive on the island. Yeah, the other sort of downside, I guess, is I would have liked to have seen some integrated racks for a roof rack, since it is kind of a sport utility vehicle. I will be putting racks on it, but I'll have to find something that'll hook onto the drip rail. Not ideal, but I guess that's just the way it is. Something that's cool about when you are carrying things on a rack, they offset the antenna, whereas on my Subaru, the antenna is down the middle of the roof, as you would expect. So when I put surfboards on the top, I need to take off that antenna. Whereas on this vehicle, the antenna is offset to the side, so if I put boards on the roof, it's not going to get in the way and doesn't need to be taken off. It's a small thing, but it's a nice thought. Somebody put a little bit of thought into that. Yeah, so we're just going to be driving up the West Coast, up to the jungle, do a photo shoot up there. Then we'll get a little bit of off-road video and see how the little Jimny performs there. So see you up in the jungle. GoPro, stop capture. So I've driven about an hour up the coast today on some fairly windy steep roads, but never really felt that the Jimny was underpowered, and certainly with its narrow width, it made it nice and easy driving through some of these narrow streets in town and some of the narrow tracks in the bush. Yeah, I didn't really want for anything. The only thing that was really lacking in this vehicle is the storage. I would suggest that it's probably really only a vehicle for a single person or as a second vehicle. For us, for an island car, it's perfect, but you're not going to want to transport a lot of gear or a lot of passengers. Obviously, it's only a 4-seater, and those 2 people in the back have to be pretty small. Having said that, going up and down various hills today, like I said, it never felt underpowered, but it's just me alone. So if I had 3 fat passengers, you know, maybe it would have felt like it could have used a bit more. But with me by myself, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, it's just a great little car. Every time I stop, someone wants to come ask me what it is and where I got it. Everyone loves it. So yeah, so you've got a little meter that'll tell you what your fuel consumption is, and then it also tells you what your range with your fuel remaining is. So right now I've got 166 kilometers to go. But anyway, yeah, just on the way back down, and really enjoying the ride. It's super comfortable. I've got a bad back, and this seat is great on my back. The driving position is nice and comfortable. Air conditioning is great. So far no complaints at all with the Jimny. The little bit of off-roading that I did, I wouldn't even call it off-roading. There were just a few large rocks, a few ruts and bumps, but clearance was never an issue. And it always felt super tight. The suspension feels heavy and strong for a vehicle of this size. It's really a very small vehicle, but it feels robust and strong. It feels like it can handle just about anything you throw at it, and I really think it probably can. Anyway, that's the end of my initial impressions of my brand new Suzuki Jimny. Maybe I'll do another review after a month or so, see how it's doing then. But so far so good.